So welcome, Mayor Bob. I wanted to sit down with you and just go over a bunch of different questions that we have about what's going on and start with a little bit of a backstory, I guess. So you spent majority of your life here in Prospect
Well, my whole life except for my 4 years in the military.
and you were stationed in Germany.
Germany from 1962 to 1965.
What branch?
Air Force.
Air Force.
I was at Spangdahlem Air Force Base. A lot of people can't pronounce it, but once you lived there for a couple of years, you had no problem.
Well, thank you for your service.
I was always quiet and shy in school. When I got in the Air Force, I didn't have problems. But you're seeing kids that had struggled all through high school. They go in the military and they grow up. Well, I grew up, but I didn't have problems when I was in high school. I had no problems with family.
Where'd you go to high school?
Caner Tech.
Okay.
I was supposed to go there today, but
Oh, that's right. Earlier, no, they're closed. The water.
right.
Yep, that's where my wife works.
Right. And so I'm hoping I said, you know that I'm an alumni? Well, yeah, you came to the job down on, they were working. I saw the bus parked in our driveway. And when I was in Caner, I took carpentry and that's what we did. We went out in the job and it was over on Old Logtown Road and I built 3 houses through there
Oh, wow.
and stopped in and visited with the kids. So I did, we worked on a subdivision here in Prospect, Cedar Hill, and where the Palinos lived.
Yep.
And they went in and they're going to remodel their bathroom because they had 4 daughters. He wanted a little
Oh my gosh, need more
room in the
bathrooms.
bathroom,
Yeah.
yes. So they ripped off a piece of sheetrock, and there's class of 1961, all autographed
That's
on the
funny.
thing, and they found that there. And he went out on the job and gained experience that way. So that's one good thing about a tech school. A lot of good things about tech schools, but
So let me ask you, long before you were mayor here in Prospect, what's a memory you have of town? What's something you remember about Prospect? I have a memory of you from Prospect that I heard about. It was before my time, but what's a memory before you were mayor? Something you remember growing up here or doing something before mayorhood?
the Congregational Church had a very, very active youth program. It was called, it was on Sunday nights. It was like CYO over at St. Anthony's there on Monday nights. And it was very active then. We had a house where we always went to. You didn't have to knock on the door. You went in like it was your own house. And that was on Merriman Lane. And I had a lot of good times with that. And when I was ready to ship out, they had a party for me
Oh, wow.
and bought me a collapsible iron. And because in Germany, everything is 210 volts, not 110 like we have here. So they have different type of plugs.
Adapters.
And I had a lot of good times with those, I call them kids. And I refer to my buddies in Germany as guys because, when I say kids, today I might have a problem. When I ran the school buses in town for a number of years, I referred to everybody on the buses as kids,
Yep.
no matter their age. And we just were on the starting of transportation for special ed children. And we ran buses down in Waterbury and in Prospect. I worked for 2 bus companies. The last one was Dufour Brothers.
Yep.
John Dufour and his brother and their son, John Jr., and Leslie Dufour is where my daughter is named after. I don't know if I really answered your question or not, but I kind of moved up
No, I think so.
today in time. Okay. So I know the town, knew the town, and know the town. And I, being involved with the fire department, I tell the guys, and if they're signed on, they're going, I says, that'll be the 4th house on the right, blue shutters on a white house, horseshoe driveway.
Knew it inside and out.
And they would slow down, know right where to go. But one thing I would say, house numbers are very, very important. If you could put them on your mailbox on both sides, not necessarily or just for fire and police, now you've got these trucks are on the road around the clock, and you put a town seal on the side of them. I'm talking of UPS, FedEx, Amazon, and now with the new facility going down in Naugatuck, although they're trying to get everybody coming off of South Main Street, Waterbury, and go up that part of the industrial park. And there used to be a company that was in Prospect. They moved down there. It was the drug supply place, Meyer Supply.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they bought that building, and they tore that down, and that's where they're going to make the main drive.
Yeah,
Go
main
up
entrance. Yep.
supposed to be 1,000 people that work down there, so I'm hoping that all the traffic doesn't come through town
Yeah.
and down into Naugatuck. But we'll make the best of it.
Time will tell.
Yes.
So before you were mayor, you served on a couple boards in town. You were on
I was a
town
member of the
council.
town council about 2 years, and I was elected to that, and I was am a Republican, and I was the highest vote getter that year, and we didn't get the chief administrative officer what it was because the mayor in Prospect's only a mayor from 1975 forward. That was the charter change. And George Sabo was the first mayor after his chief administrative officer. And we had a wreath laying ceremony at his gravesite this past Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. I applied and went to the town of Wallingford which would be the Tuesday of last week, which was the
date
calendar. Was it 7th or 8th? Yeah, and they had wreaths. They hosted wreaths across America, which were 18-wheeler trailers full of Christmas wreaths.
Oh my God!
Going from Maine to Arlington Cemetery, just outside of Washington. There's 340,000 men and women buried in Arlington Cemetery. So they had wreaths for every single grave. And we had to follow the same procedure they do. And usually you paste the wreath, you blow taps. After this, they wanted taps before the wreath.
Oh, wow.
And George Sable's two sons placed the wreath on the grave, then talk a little bit about George. And I had the honor of doing his eulogy when he passed away a couple of years ago. And I was very disappointed that the newspapers in the area did not pick up on that. It was quite the thing to see all those trailer trucks parked in front of town of Wallingford Town Hall. And they had probably 60 escort vehicles between police cars from every state coming down from Maine, police, sheriffs, state troopers, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. There was one Royal Canadian Mounted Police on the escort. I mean, that must have been something going down
Be something to see.
and see them all come your way.
Yeah.
And they're going to have thousands of people there on this past Saturday, which was 13th?
13th.
All right. And okay, we should have said what date it's, but whatever. And it was just a nice, very spirited time. And I spent a lot of time in military cemeteries. My roommate, he knew that I'm jumping around a lot, as you know. My roommate, he knew, his mother, and the rest of his family knew that his father was buried someplace in a military cemetery, someplace in Europe.
Yep.
So we started on Saturdays and Sundays going to visit military cemeteries. And the closest one to me was Luxembourg Military Cemetery. And that's where General Patton is buried.
Oh, wow.
And we finally found Bob Sunset was my buddy's name, and found his father up in Amsterdam. And about 2 weeks after our visit, a dispatch came to the main gate of Spangdahlem Air Base, and a leather-bound pouch was left for Airman Sunset, who was my
his
buddy.
Belongings.
And it came from Queen Beatrice in a wax-sealed envelope, inviting him to the Memorial Day services of that year. It was either 63 or 64.
Wow.
I don't remember which. And we all went up and changed in our blue uniforms behind a barn. You could do stuff in Europe like that. Today, they're going to arrest you. And we went up to the ceremony, and at the height of the ceremony, they had an airplane fly over, and it was the fighters from our base. And it meant a lot to us, too, because we're the ones that put all the markings on the back of the plane, and on the front of the plane had lightning bolts, and there was a base insignia on the back of the plane with a red and a blue and a yellow stripe up on F-105 fighters. Most of those planes were shot down in Vietnam.
Yeah.
And some of the helicopters, when I worked at Sikorsky's for 3 years after I got out of the Air Force, we painted presidential other helicopters that went to Vietnam, and they were getting shot down too. That's when they discovered how valuable helicopters were on the as a war machine.
Wow. So you've served Prospect for many years. What first made you want to get involved? Because I've been on a ton of boards for the town as well. it's a thankless position being
Yes.
on boards. What
My
made you
mother
want to
sent-
volunteer
My
originally?
mother sent me, each town in those days, the Waterbury Republican had a town reporter, and anything that was in the paper, she would send me an article, and I would see what was going on in town when I was away. And my first job in the town of Prospect was Prospect Hardware, and that was run by George Cipriano, who was first selectman. And I worked before I went in the military. When I came back, I worked in the military, and I could hear a lot going on in the store where he was conducting business. I
All the
wasn't
gossip in
spying.
the town.
I just, and the bug bit me, and I decided in 1975 not to run because it was a little too early me, and I figured I'd run in 1977, which I did, and announced in January of 77, unheard of announcing that early. And by October, I had about $500 in the bank. Another thing, unheard of having that much money in the bank 6 or 8 months before a
Election.
election.
Yep.
And then as time went on, I got the endorsement from the Republican Town Committee, and
So now,
elected.
all these years later, what continues to motivate you? Why do you still continue to serve the town of Prospect?
Love the town, and I get along. Big thing, no matter what you do in this business, you have to listen, and that's the key, because the person's first involvement with the town might not be pleasant, and there's a lot of things that we can't take care of. Neighborhood property problems. It's not up to me or the town. It's a civil matter. If somebody is infringing on your property line.
Yep.
So they have to, the folks have to understand that. And I'll tell them how to get around. You got to go to your attorney, call the land use inspector. All maps are filed up at town hall, and we have a map machine now. So all the maps that we have stuck away in all the books in town clerk's vault are on a map machine, and they're available. If you go to town hall online, you can pull out your property map and print it out and take it home. You can study it. Let your attorney look at it, or your surveyors, and a lot of the surveyors have these maps because they've worked in town
Yep.
for many, many terms. And it's just grown on me. I love the job. You have to be available 24/7, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
Yep.
Um,
So Prospect's not just where you work, it's also where you live. You raised your daughter here, who's now raising her family here.
right.
So now your kids, your grandkids are here in town.
My family.
Your whole family's here. So how has Prospect being a home to you shaped how you've run the town?
After listening to everybody, you can't solve all problems. In 1983, we had a storm, 12 inches in 3 days, and we've discovered that the town was woefully underdrained. So we started that year.
A rainstorm.
Right.
Okay, because a snowstorm, 12 isn't that much.
No. Well, in the past years, yes.
Yeah.
There were 18-inch pipes on the road, and we had the engineers go back up in the woods and check the ponds and the brooks and how big a pipe would have to be under a road. And we had to install 2 5-foot by 8-foot box culverts to take all the water that was filled. So now we don't have a problem on Summer Road, and we don't have a problem over on Sherwood Drive because we replaced them. And then we had to go to other properties on Matthew Street above Juggernaut Road. There was another place, and we had to replace all the pipes, the 24-inch pipes. And then over on Spring Road from the quarry over there, we had another that washed the road right out. We had to put in twin 24 pipes under that street, and there's a new subdivision right down the road, and they had to have oversized pipes. So all the streets in town have been reconstructed, and the drainage has been improved. And when we pave a street, we always replace the catch basin tops.
Yep.
Because they're rusting. The new catch basin tops are galvanized. They don't rust like the old steel ones.
Yep.
And
I think what a lot of people take for granted is if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. You see what Waterbury's dealing with currently.
Oh boy, yes.
So that's one great thing that you guys continue to make an
Confusion
improvement.
on that. Waterbury does not supply any water to Prospect.
Nope, we're from
We are
Naugatuck.
Right.
Yep.
We are supplied by Connecticut Water Company, and they have 2 reservoirs in Prospect and a big filtration plant down off of Route 63, just before Walmart coming down Straitsville Road.
Yep.
There's a big water filtration plant. Those 2 reservoirs go to that plant. Then it snakes down through Naugatuck, up through the center of Naugatuck, then up Route 68 into the Naugatuck Industrial Park. And our main comes to the first driveway coming out of Prospect from the Naugatuck Industrial Park. I got a grant there after foam plastics burnt down.
No, I remember that.
On New Haven Road. There was so much smoke from that fire, it turned the streetlights on over in Cheshire. The column of smoke was so big and tall, the Channel 9 news helicopter in New York City got permission to come up here and land in the field across from the fire. And then after all was said and done, that was the 13th most costly fire in the United States in 1983.
Wow. My parents probably live 8 miles away from it, down on Summit Road.
You could smell it?
We had ashes landing in their yard from foam plastics all the way down. It was amazing.
And if it had fire trucks parked out in front of it, it probably would almost as bad, but now there's sprinklers in there. They dug a 200,000 gallon tank out and back, lined it with block, and there's a water pump and a sprinkler system there.
Wow. Okay.
And the water's on site. So water's been a big part of my administration as we go along.
Yep. When you think back to your early days in office, what are some of the biggest changes you can picture in your head from Prospect then to Prospect now?
Well, in those days, the election, you took office that night immediately.
Oh, wow.
And the town clerk forgot the oath of office, so then I had to wait and was sworn in by the moderator of the election, which was Mrs. Shea, who lived up on Maple Drive. He just passed away recently, and I went to the wake, and she had my button and a magnet and some of my brochures, because she ended up swearing me in. Even though she was a member of the Democratic Party, she had to swear me in. And now I have a regular swearing in ceremony, and I started that at community school, and we had it down at Prospect Elementary School. The kids sang the Star Spangled Banner. So I get the kids involved in the program, because someday, and the MC, who happened to be my daughter,
she did a great job.
Said she's told them before, I never expect when I graduated community school in 1957 that I would someday be standing on a stage at community school, taking the oath of office and being, I am the number 7 mayor in the United States for as far as tenure.
Yep.
And the guy before me took a couple of years off. They still have before me, but I have continuous service.
Yep.
I'm in my 49th year right now, and I'm honored to be there. And the town will celebrate its 200th anniversary in May of 2027, and we're already starting the plans for that.
So Prospect has a very strong, close-knit community feel. In your words, what has given the town its unique character?
I've tried very hard to keep the small town atmosphere, which we have. Somebody came to the Pumpkin Fest. The Pumpkin Fest, for those who don't know, we give every kid in Prospect schools in town a pumpkin, and we give them to Laurel Ledge and Beacon Falls, because their kid brothers and sisters come to Long River, and they're going to be coming to Long River, and there's only 300 kids there, and we give them a pumpkin also, and we give prizes for Beacon Falls. That brings the 2 towns together, brings people to town. It helps businesses, because I have the businesses come up there and sell their wares. The only rule is you sell for what's the price in your restaurant.
No inflated markups.
No, not like going to a ball game and paying $25. We don't allow alcohol. It's a family event, but sodas and hot dogs. Your mom had it down. She kept a diary of everything that the Dairy Bar sold. So next year she'd pull it out and
knew exactly how much to bring
up, and ran it like the Dairy Bar ran, and zoom, it just went off. You know how many hot dogs, hamburgers, French fries that she sold, and soda.
Yep.
And it went
Remember
very
back
well.
to my grandma helping there. Remember those days? She would get the sodas out of the. Yep.
And then this is Slipicus's. Who made the pies? Was that
Mabel.
Mabel?
Mabel. That was Jeff Slipicus's grandma.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay. She made the fresh
Yep.
fresh pies.
So, can you share a moment, a favorite moment or memory from your time as mayor that really showcases what Prospect is? Like a time that the town rallied or just something that really says that's Prospect?
The worst day in the town's history was July of 1977. We had the report of a fire on Union City Road. And we'd gotten there. We got there. It was around 4:15. I was in charge. I was assistant chief then. And the house was totally involved. And the whole family, except the husband, was in the house and died in that fire. The state police trooper, Father O'Day, and another member of the family went to get the husband. He was working over in United Aircraft over in Southington, and he knew when he looked up and saw his father and a trooper and the priest walking down the aisle that it wasn't going to be a good day. So the town really rallied that time.
How many people were lost that day?
9 kids
9 kids.
and the mother.
And the mother.
They were all murdered before by the accused was Lauren Aquin, and he went to jail and died in jail, thankfully. About 9 years after that, he was up for parole, and the paper did a big story, and I said to the paper, let's not worry about Mr. Aquin. Let's worry about letting the Bedoin family rest in peace. Well, that afternoon, we had a car on its roof up at 68 and 69, and I was there as assistant fire chief attending to the accident. The father of that family came over, gave me a big hug and said, thank you, because that's what I said. I'm not worried about the person who killed his family.
Yep.
And he passed on this past year, and I believe he's back over with his wife and his babies.
Yep.
They were all very young kids at that time.
Horrible.
We did not have a vigil because that isn't what communities did at that particular time.
Yep.
Now, when it happened in Cheshire and when it happened over in
Sandy Hook.
and Sandy Hook, we had
had an anniversary.
We had a vigil at the Green, and I probably had 900 to 1,000 more people, and we gathered around the Soldiers Monument, and I welcomed everybody. We had a high school principal speak, the superintendent spoke, and Father Mark said something. So it was about an hour went by, and I went over to Father Mark. Father, how do I end this? He says, go back and stand, and I'll end it for you. So I went back over where I was standing, and his big, loud, deep voice, he goes, go in peace. Everybody, some people wanted to know if they could put things on the monument. I says, why, of course. And they caught that guy, or I guess he wasn't, they got him in the school.
Yep.
So every day, I go up to the cemetery every year at that day on the 22nd or 21st of July, go up to the school, or go up to the cemetery. And that was the worst day in the history of town of Prospect. We've had some people die in fires, but not as many as that.
Yep.
And the happiest day is when I had the town, one of the happiest days, I had the town picnic up on the Green, and Joe and Annette Commentator had triplet sons, and they turned 1 year old, and I had a cake about the size of your desk right there up on the Green farm. They had a triplet carriage, and they marched in the parade, and then we brought them back up there, and I lit the candles. We all sang to the boys, and now 2 of them are married, I believe, maybe 3 of them, and living out of town. They're in business, and that's why Joe's business was named Triple Stitch.
Yeah.
And he's in business today down in the industrial park right next to your dad's factory down at the industrial park. That was a very exciting, nice day. And any day now when we have a car show, it's a beautiful day, or the Pumpkin Fest, or we have the Christmas Light Parade. We just have.
We're going to get to that in a second about some traditions. But
Okay, well, we have plenty of them.
yeah. So residents often describe you as somebody who eats, sleeps, breathes Prospect.
I would have to agree with that.
I would too. So what does that look like on a daily basis? When's your day start? What's the day consist
Well,
of?
I'm not getting up at 4 o'clock.
Not anymore?
No, I get up around 4.
Or have to rush to the dairy bar in the morning anymore.
No, I go to another restaurant now, but
Yep.
I go back to where the dairy bar was, which is now Hometown Pizza,
Yep.
at 11 o'clock. And I was always through the front door at the dairy. We went down to the end of the counter, and there I sat. Sometimes it was up the end of the counter where the cash register was. And there was always a 4-tier there.
Always.
Came in the 4 tiers were a family, Mr. and Mrs. Forte, had 15 children. The oldest daughter was my age.
Actually, their children, not adopted.
No, they were their children.
Yep.
And I had breakfast with one of them this morning, Dennis, and his brother Raymond. Raymond worked for your dad.
Yep. Still does once in a while.
Yep. And they had, every grade, they had a brother or a sister. In fact, Mr. Fortier's granddaughter is now the tax collector. He ran on the ballot with me, right? He ran on the ballot with me, and he was tax collector, and his wife was assistant tax collector, and they were in that office until their daughter, Diane, took over, and they both passed away.
Yep.
Then Diane, unfortunately, passed away. Her sister went in as tax collector. Now, Megan, the granddaughter, was just elected at the last term as tax collector.
That's awesome.
And it was
So back to your day.
okay.
So it doesn't start at 4 anymore.
No, 5.
Yep.
And then I go to the garage first, because under the charter, I'm the director of public works, and I go down there every day. And spent a lot of time there in the last couple of weeks, because it was 27. It was probably 17 when I came in here.
So monitoring your salt in your sand.
Well, we'll probably have to get a couple loads of salt. We use magic salt now, which is the state uses straight salt.
Yep.
And if you use
Rough on
straight salt,
yeah.
it doesn't give you traction if the salt hasn't started working. So that's why we mix our salt with 2 yards of sand. Every yard of salt to a yard of sand, and you get traction, and it works better because you have the traction. Now, as you noticed last night before the sun was going down, all our roads were bare.
Yep.
And the superintendent called me yesterday, which was Sunday, and power the roads. And he says, I think I'm going to call 2-hour delay. I says, that would be good, because the roads are bare, most of them, but you have the kamikaze drivers in town, which we're going to slow down. We'll ask me about that in a little bit.
Yep.
And had 2-hour delay this morning because it was dark out. The roads are okay, but it's too dark from the school buses start running at 6:15 when it's pitch dark, and they're out picking up the high school kids to take the either Caner Tech up in almost in Watertown and Waterbury, and then Emmett O'Brien down in Ansonia. A lot of high schools open real early in Waterbury, yeah, Holy Cross, and that's the only parochial school left, come to think of it. We used to have 5 or 6 parochial schools in Waterbury. And because when we didn't have a high school, we could transfer them.
So then from Public Works, where you head in after that in the morning?
Town hall,
Okay.
and then I go to a restaurant. And then it's whatever comes in the mail or what comes in emails, you have to get at.
Yep.
And it's a business driven by mail and telephone calls. You know, businessmen, hi, how are you? Well, I know when I answer the phone, it's not always going to be, hi, how are you?
Right.
Sometimes people blow their gasket.
Yep.
And they come to town hall, and the public has changed over the last 49 years. I've had to install 3 more panic buttons in town hall. You go downstairs in the council room now, there's a pull down for police.
Okay.
Because we've had people that bring in and throw pieces of asphalt on the table of planning zoning. This is evidence.
Oh my gosh.
They come into town hall, the offices, and they're really, really charged up and really acting like I know you can hear some of these things on TV all the time.
Yep.
Well, they're not, it's not in the proper place to have the F-bomb dropped.
Not at all.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
It doesn't belong there. And it's screaming and yelling at the ladies, where sometimes I'll get up and go down there and get in between.
So we talked about this a little bit, some local traditions that you've got started here in Prospect. What are some of your favorite ones? And tell me a little bit about how they've grown over the years.
Well, the first one is the car show. I started the car show by myself 40 years ago, because this was our 40th year.
Yeah.
And I had 50 cars on the green by myself. And I think mom and dad set up
They were
in
up
front
there.
of the old range, and we sold hamburgers and hot dogs. The following,
They were one of the only vendors that year.
yeah, you were. And then the next year, I had 100 cars show up, and
Might be onto something.
right. And we had a couple of cars off the green, but I had 100 cars there.
Yeah.
Then in the wintertime, 3 or 4 people came. They wanted to know if they could start the Prospect Car Owners Association to help me put on the car show. I says, why not? So we had a meeting. I went to the first meeting, and they told me what they'd like to do. So I left, because this was an independent organization. And that year we had 500 cars parked around Community Center and the Grange and the Congregational Church, the Green, and down along Center Street.
Yep.
And the people, you don't get 500 cars.
Ha ha ha.
Well, I had a meeting every Thursday night before the car show at the Dairy Bar,
Yep.
where all the vendors would get together, and I told them, prepare for 3,500 to 4,000 people. Well, when we went out of the Dairy Bar, there were 2 guys that just opened up in Prospect, and they're out in the parking lot, and they're laughing, and found out later on, they're laughing about me. Who does he think he's going to get 3,400 people at a show in Prospect? Well, that afternoon, when they ran out of food and came
About an hour in.
yeah, and they ran out of food and came to me, wanted to know if they could remove, because they had their food in a boat full of ice. I said, no, sir, you can come back at 4 o'clock. You're not going to disrupt what's here. Well, the next day they came over to town hall, and Mrs. Harlow was my secretary at the time. Says, Bobby, she said, there's 2 grown men out in the hall and they're crying. Well, let me go see. And sure enough, they were the 2 guys that I told to plan for 3 of the 4,000, and they apologized. And the business moved out of town a couple of months after that.
Yep.
So now, yes, we do get that many people. We get people from New York. In fact, the trophy went to a gentleman from New York who grew up in Prospect. There's other car clubs that come in a team, and they pull in. They want to all park together. So we've been up to 1,000 cars.
One of the biggest car shows in Connecticut. Right?
And we're even one of the top rated car shows, because the majority of the people park on grass, park under a tree, and it's where you can go in the shade. And we
50s, 60s music playing, great vendors.
2 live bands, and a DJ who plays in a banjo taking a rest. And it's just a beautiful day. No charge to get in for cars to display their cars. Some towns or some car shows charge.
Yep.
And no charge to the people who come into the event.
Yep.
Why don't you charge? I won't get the people. It's a family event, and it's just a beautiful day. And then my secretary decided she wanted to start a pumpkin fest. She saw it up in Maine and Massachusetts, up that way. So we started the first year. We were behind town hall, and we put pumpkins on bleachers out in front of town hall, but the cars went by in front of town hall. So we decided to move it up on the green, and we have it up on the green now. And we're on the pumpkin bleachers all the way down in front of the community center, which used to be community school when Dave and I went to school here. Or did you go to school?
I did. Yep.
Okay.
Algonquin community.
Okay. And the kids, another tradition that I tried to keep going is the Kids Memorial Day Parade, the Friday before Memorial Day.
Got pictures of me marching in that.
And the kids come up to the green. They put geraniums on the green. We take those geraniums, park, and plant them around the Soldiers Monument.
Flanders Field.
Yep. And we have a contest, and the person who wins Flanders Field recites it up there. But then Memorial Day Parade on the following Monday, They ride in the car.
Usually it was one of my dad's old cars in the rumble seat. Yep.
And they come up and recite Flanders Field, and I give them a little plaque on the morning. Now, that was going on when I went there.
Wow.
So it's nothing that I started. And now they're doing it down at Prospect Elementary because it's too far for them to come up there to the green. But on the May of 2027, the 100th anniversary, I'll have buses go down to the school.
200th anniversary.
200th anniversary. Yep. All the buses go down to the school, bring the kids up, drop them off, and have them walk up to the Soldiers Monument like we did since the late 40s. And I marched in that parade up to the green, wore the same kind of hats. And now we have the fire department runs a Christmas light parade. They decorate the trucks. And now there's more and more local people in the parade. There was last year, he went up one side of me and down the other because got a Christmas tree and had it on the top of his car like Chevy Chase had it in
Christmas Vacation.
Christmas Vacation.
Yep.
He had it hung on the front of the car, and he had that. Now, there was a car with a Christmas tree on it, but not like Chevy Chase. Now, someplace in town, I saw a whole bunch of, the front yard was full of rubber toys, and there was a car there with Chevy Chase. It was a blown-up car, had the Christmas tree on the top of the car, and if there's a truck or a car in the parade that has a lot of lights, so that should get the Chevy Chase award.
Yep.
If you haven't watched Christmas Vacation, you have to watch Christmas Vacation.
It's a requirement.
It's been on 6 times so far. This year, I'll watch it. It's like the Titanic. You watch that picture. Every time you watch it, you see something you missed the first time. John Hughes has since passed away. He was a brilliant cartoonist, a brilliant comedy writer, and he lost his life to natural causes like John Candy and other people lost their lives. And they entertained us a lot, and you still laugh when you see them, when they walk on and what they do, their mannerisms, and they talk about these guys and gals forever.
Yeah, I know, absolutely. So in your long tenure, you've built deep relationships with tons of residents. How have these relationships shaped the way you run the town?
I still call people Mr. and Mrs. If I was introduced to a certain person when I was growing up in high school, they were Mr. and Mrs. Bell, and I called them Mr. and Mrs. Bell to this day. Mr. and Mrs. Bell have both since passed away, but I spent a lot of time up to their house. My late friend, Bobby Pouliot, who was their age. I'm a little older than a lot of the kids in town, and I'm a little older than the Bell girls, but we just felt at home up there. And we'd go there in the middle of the night, and they'd have soup on for us if we're plowing snow. And we pull in the driveway or park in the front of the road, and we go in and have a bowl of soup or stew, whatever Mrs. Bell made. And then we come back the next day with a box of candy or something, thanking them for that. Plowing snow was always fun for me. I worked for former Mayor George Sabo and plowed snow. When I worked at the Prospect Hardware store, as I said before, George Cipriano was first selectman. And people would come in there and with a 22, and he'd give them a couple of boxes of shells to go down to the landfill. At that time was a landfill. We don't have a landfill anymore. It's the recycling center. But if the garbage was open, it'd call for rats. Well, he'd give them 22 shells to go down there and shoot the rats. We don't have rats down there anymore. There's no outside garbage. All our garbage is burnt at the recycling over in Bristol Resource Recovery Authority. We burn our garbage over there, and it makes the electricity to run compounds.
And Prospect has all private garbage pickup.
Right. And we have a new one now, Joe's Refuge, sold out to America. And they have trucks in town. Before they came in and they had dumpsters. Now they're doing the door-to-door trucks. So I see the driver. I used to see the driver of that truck every morning in Dunkin' Donuts, which I used to be there every day at 5 o'clock. And I says, "What's your most unusual load?" He said, "Well, I dumped out of a dumpster and the thing was shaking going down the road." And he stopped the truck to get out of the truck. I heard something moving around inside. Now you can imagine what I'm going to say. They opened the side door and a bear jumped out.
Oh my God.
So now you can't always check what's in the dumpster.
Yeah, no kidding.
And you don't want to because they're getting bad because you interrupt their feeding craze. Now, there's a lot of bears that are seen in Prospect. Do not approach them. Don't feed them. DEP will not come down unless there's an attack or a suspected attack. They will not. There's so many bears in Connecticut now. The water company, the South Central Regional Water Authority, has bow and arrow season, and they'll allow people to come in with the proper permits, and they come in and they hunt with bow and arrow. Then you have to take the bear to Bethany to a weighing station, and I'd rather see that happen. My wife still feeds the bear, still feeds the deer, and people around town do feed the deer.
Yeah.
And they'll go back up in the woods. I'd rather see them taking care of the bow and arrow than hitting a car at 68 and 69. Yep. We had a gentleman on a motorcycle, a deer hit the motorcycle, killed the poor gentleman on the motorcycle. In fact, we had a deer come running down Murphy Road a couple of years ago, jumped through the front of a car, and about 6 months after that, I got a lawsuit. The driver of the car was suing the town because the deer came running down Murphy Road, quote, a town deer. The case was dismissed. Obviously, I have no control over where the deer go,
Right.
but you just have to be careful.
Wow.
So you find out a lot of things.
No kidding.
Sitting here about people and their wishes, but if you sit and listen to them, explain why we can or can't help them out. I think that's part of my success also. Plus, growing up in town and living in town all these years gives me a little insight, because somebody could be a absolute perfect business person and then come and take this job. It's entirely different. These people that run for mayor and make all these criticisms, well, they found out it's not as easy a job as
I've always said, Mayor Bob, that whoever takes the role after you is doomed because of how good of a job you did. You never want to be the guy after Mayor Bob. You want to be the guy after Mayor Bob, because you have big shoes to fill. You do a great job.
Thank you.
Prospect's housing landscape has changed, obviously, over all the time you've been in. How have you seen it from your perspective?
No more little 75,000 double raised ranches and a little driveway. Now they're all the classic colonial big homes. And people say, when we had our evaluation, $400,000, my house isn't that much. Read the Republican American newspaper on Saturday morning.
The transfer.
All the houses are listed in there, and all the houses are selling for $400,000 to $500,000 and more.
Or if you want a more accurate number, call me and I'll tell you exactly how much.
Up in Woodcrest Drive area, and there's a house up there. The first one is sold for $400,000. Now the average house of a new house built in Prospect, and that's what it's costing. And if you have city water, you are blessed because you have city water, and there's no streets that have gas for houses. All the businesses have gas mains, so they can sign up for city gas.
City gas,
all the
city
business
water,
vans, all the businesses, both industrial park up and down 68 and 69. There's water down to the new school I got a grant for, and there's on all the water mains down Route 69 all the way to the Waterbury line, Aria, and the big office product down there, big doctor's office down there has city water. And now it's Dr. Capozzi is the building just before
Pond Place.
Pond Place. It used to be
Furniture Gallery.
On the last building in Prospect.
Yep.
And it was Furniture Gallery. Now it's all doctor's offices upstairs. He's got all across the back so the girls that work there now, the young ladies, there's one in every office. They have everything set up when he comes in. And there's 3 doctors there now.
Wow.
And changes. Montrose Trucking was down at the corner of Greenwood Drive since the 50s. Prior to that, there was a Prospect Lumberyard, which burnt in the early 50s.
Where was that located?
Right where Montrose was.
Okay.
And that's now been purchased. The guy has replaced the garage doors, is redoing the buildings. He's fencing it in. He's painted the front of the buildings, and it's Interstate Electrical.
Oh, good.
And he's a business. He's from town here, and he's moving his business to there. He has business all up the East Coast of America, all the way down to Florida, and all the way up. He's got a very high security clearance. He's done work at Mar-a-Lago, and he's done work at the White House.
Wow.
So he's and he does all cameras for up and down the big cities, all up and down the East Coast. Now in Prospect, you're going to see signs in the very near future on Union City Road, Waterbury Road, New Haven Road, and Cheshire Road. It says speed cameras ahead, speed cameras ahead, speed camera. We're going to have speed cameras. We're going to slow these people down once and for all.
Awesome.
You're going to get a ticket for $65 if you go 20 or 15 miles over the speeding ticket, not if you go just a mile or so.
Yep.
So the $15 will go to the company, $15 will go to the town, not as part of the ticket, not as part of your fine, but to run the cameras for the town.
Yep.
Then the $50 will go into a special account in the town for safety use only.
Wow.
Purchasing of police cars, which I'm using the Prospect Police Overtime account for now, some road improvements, and signs. So they will come that all stop signs will have a little box over the top, and it's going to be run by solar power. There'll be blinking lights around the stop sign. So where I have problems now, I put a bigger stop bar, stop up the road, stop sign ahead. Well, you're going to be, the light is going to be flashing.
Yep.
Down on the Cheshire Road at Matthew Street, you can sit down the street and you'll see the people come down, and
One of probably the most accident-prone spots in town, correct?
because they're not stopping.
Yep. Speeding. Yep.
Right. So that hopefully will stop that, or these cameras. Then they're going to go to town roads. Same signing.
Yep.
Police sold, just slowed. There are silver signs, black letters. When I was having a meeting at the town council meeting, one of the young ladies who was there, yeah, I got stopped in Middletown last week.
My God, I got the same one.
All right. And you get off.
Comes in the mail automatically. Yeah.
You go by the ice cream place
Yep.
that kind of resembles the dairy bar up on a hill.
That's exactly what I was.
Down between the reservoirs, they had cameras there, and they had first month $1 million worth of speeding tickets. Now, when they get the tickets, you'll have to pay your fine by mail. And then there's going to be a way to express concern that it wasn't you. Maybe you'd lent it to one of your children or your brother or your sister.
Yeah.
Well, if you weren't driving the car, you'll have to tell your brother or sister
They're liable.
pay the bill, whoever borrowed your cars.
Yeah, I was surprised when I got my letter from the town of Meriden.
Middletown. Yeah.
Town of Middletown.
Well, congratulations.
I help support their new police cruisers. So after many years of service to the town, what continues to make this fulfilling for you? What makes you still want to get up after all these years?
And still coming up with new ideas for the kids, because the kids are our future, for the elderly. We have a very, very active senior center over on Center Street. So active, we're using 3 classrooms a day up at the community center for knitting and cards
My God.
for the seniors. They have a Wii room downstairs where they play games on TVs just like the kids.
Yep.
And it's they have 2 big televisions down there, and they play Wii bowling, and they go to other senior centers and challenge other seniors to Wii bowling. And then the men have pool, and they go to other towns, and they're all bragging on who gets the best snacks, what town they go for, and play pool. And then we have a group of singers, and they sing the song my aunt taught us in church. Oh, we are the seniors of Prospect.
Oh, wow.
PROSPECT. This is embarrassing. Right now, I can't think.
Well,
They practice, and they practice. They put shows on the seniors center. Then they go to convalescent homes
Oh, wow.
and so I can't get a call and call.
We'll have to think of the name.
Right. So the senior citizen has seniors that come in from 31 towns, and there's something going on at nights in the daytime. So in the daytime, when we have summer school or summer camp, the seniors have to come to the basement of town hall. And we put senior sets. The seniors come there, and they come down and they'll crochet or they'll knit, and they'll have discussions. So I go downstairs and say, "Oh, this is where," because I'm videoing now. "Oh, this is where Stitch and Bitch is." And I'm like, "Oh my God, what are you talking about? What are you doing? You're stitching? And what are you doing? Complaining."
Stitch and Bitch.
There was a club in town. They called themselves the Happy Hookers. They went down to the bank to open up a checking account. They wouldn't open the bank because they're calling themselves the Happy Hookers. Well, I guess they opened their account, but they had to change their name.
Was it a crocheting club?
Yeah. So it was. They were hooking, and that's right. But it didn't look good on
Didn't window over with the bank,
Happy
right.
Hookers in Prospect. So we all got a chuckle out of that.
That's funny.
And the seniors go to other senior centers to compete with other senior centers. And it's we have buses, which we get through grants. And they go to Yankee Candle. They go to Massachusetts, and we get a letter in the mail from the toll. And they get a toll. And they go to Yukon basketball games.
Oh, wow.
And we buy, I think there's 12 or 15 season tickets, and they have to pay for them for the season tickets. But they go up, and they very devoted fans for the girls basketball.
That's great.
And Paige Beckers, I watched her career. Remember the name. There was a high school photographer met this young lady when she was in the 6th grade and asked her father if he could take a picture of her and do a story on her. The name of the story was Remember the Name.
Oh, wow.
So here's this photographer that watched her through high school, grammar school, and high school, because she was in middle school.
He knew she was going to be
Right.
somebody.
He knew because he was a photographer and watched all these games. Then you have a gentleman who lives over in Cheshire, and he writes a lot of stories about the kids. I can't think of his name right now, but he does a story on Woodland. Now I understand Woodland High School was High School of the Year a couple of years ago. The principal of Woodland High School was High School Principal of the Year.
Yep.
And we have a vice principal from Dana Mulligan, who lives in Prospect. And she is the vice principal, high school vice principal
Of the year.
Yep. Here in Prospect.
Congratulations, Dr. Mulligan.
We have 2 high school vice principals that live in Prospect on the same street. I'm not going to tell you the street. So Woodland does all right for themselves. The kids have got NVL titles. All the teams have gotten NVL titles.
Yep.
Naugatuck Valley League that they are in, and they've won titles. And the fire departments, when they win a title, wherever they're at, will meet them at the town line in either Beacon or Prospect, bring them back to the school, whether it's Woodland or Long River, and give them an escort back into town, which they fully deserved, and get off from their parents who have gotten up here, or sometimes they're in the parade because they're following the kids back from the competition wherever they go. And to think about all the all the argument and that it took to get the high school built to join the region, because it took several years before the region was official, because Prospect and Beacon Falls officials were not talking to each other.
Could not agree on it.
Huh?
Could not agree on it.
No, and when Lenny D'Amico was elected first selectman in Beacon, and I was elected mayor in 77, I'd never met him, but we started talking. He'd come every day, meet me at the dairy bar once or twice a month, and we'd sit there and we'd have something to eat at the dairy bar. Finally, the region was organized, and when they became a full region, they just started dispersing some of their assets. One of the first ones they got rid of was community school. I bought that, brought the idea forth. The town council set a town meeting, and we bought that and made it into a community center, which used to be the community school when I went there. That was built in 1936 to get rid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 one-room schoolhouses.
Wow.
One was across from Cook Road on Cheshire Road. That's where all my father and all my aunts and uncles went there. There was one right in the center of school, right next to the pavilion for the Grange by the Congregational Church. That was a schoolhouse. Chapel School, where is right next to the senior center.
Yep.
There was another one down on the Summit Road, right near Juggernaut. The house is there today. It's a little house. And then there was another school down on Salem Road, and that is up on Chris Breyer's barn up on Clark Hill Road. And we didn't have a school on the Waterbury side. The kids went to, there was a Waterbury school right across the intersection of Peach Orchard Road. The little school that was up by the reservoir by the church down at little Catholic church, like Lebanese Catholic church right there in the corner. There's a little 4-room building there. It was a school, and Prospect kids went tuition to that school. Then when community school was open, all the kids went to community school, and I was there for 1, 2, 3 additions. Downstairs used to be like a gym. There's 3 classrooms down there now. Then they put the gym on, and the gym was built just before the flood of 1955, because many Waterbury residents spent a week or so. If you're not familiar with the flood of 1955, it dammed up a railroad bridge down the south end of.
My dad was in Naugatuck when it happened, and he talks about it still.
And flooded Waterbury and lost many lives from Waterbury and down through Naugatuck. And the National Guard and the Red Cross in Waterbury arose to the occasion. Several bridges were lost, and same in Naugatuck. Today, Uniroyal is gone, and all the colored chemicals that were dumped into the Naugatuck River, red, blue, green, whatever color the Naugatuck River was, you went up to Naugatuck, you saw that color water coming out of a pipe from Uniroyal Chemical. And now there's a bridge down there in around the Seymour line, which is going to be torn down because right now there are salmon coming up. They get, and the ladder that lets them climb up is broken, and they're going to tear that dam down and rebuild so that the salmon will be coming up Naugatuck River. I don't know how long before people are going to trust that they can eat the salmon that comes out of that river. But it's clean as a whistle now, especially with all the walker trails going in down there, and there's big changes in the Naugatuck River. River.
And Naugatuck's got good leadership too.
Yes.
Mr. Hess, Mayor Hess is doing great things for the town.
He used to be the legal advisor to Region 16.
I actually remember him coming in to talk before when I was on one of the boards, Mayor Hess. All right, so in closing here, Mayor Bob, what is it you would want all the townspeople, all the people watching this, reading this, to know? Any message you'd like to share with them?
Well, first thing, Code Red is back. I have another funding source for Code Red is being funded out of the police officers' overtime account.
What is Code Red?
Code Red, I still have on my phone.
Your
I
alert
call
system.
everybody in town in 10 minutes and tell them what's going on for an emergency. If you haven't signed up, go to the town website, and there's a place there where you can sign up for Code Red. I dial my cell phone, dial in a code, then I can give you a message for snowing. If there's snow, we haven't had anything where I've had to use the last year or so.
Knock on wood.
So, yeah. So when I use it the first time, I was almost going to use it this weekend. There's a lot of confusion because the water problems in Waterbury, some people think our water comes from Waterbury. It doesn't. All the Prospect water comes in 2 little reservoirs down up a Straitsville Road and a New Haven Road across from Talmadge Hill Road. And then it goes down to Naugatuck through their water filtration plant down on Route 63 in Naugatuck, and then it makes its way through the center of Naugatuck, out through Naugatuck, up through the Naugatuck Industrial Park. And the first driveway of the Naugatuck Industrial Park that you hit going down towards Waterbury, there was a water main started there and went up into, right up into the industrial park, and it went up to Grammar Avenue. And the fire at Foam Plastics was in 1983, 1984, 1985. Governor O'Neill gave me $350,000 of state bond money to run a water main up from Union City Road down Grammar Avenue so that Foam Plastics would have water. Because the day that Foam Plastics burnt in April of 1983, Gene Lewis's father and son were up in New Hampshire because they are trying to get Foam Plastics to move to, he was one of our biggest employers now. Now he has sold his business, but he's got New Haven Road. That's all Foam Plastics up there. And then Foam Plastics at the end of Grammar Avenue. And they used to all do, if you take a coffee cup and take a coffee cup, you'll see little circles in that coffee cup. And Foam Plastic was making foam for houses, and foam, you'll see that little ball in that little, was about the size of a grain of sugar. And what they do is they inject it into an ejecting mold at very high temperature, and that's what started that fire. Nobody was injured, but again, as I told you before, it was the 13th most expensive fire in the United States that year. Oh. Their business went all the way to Virginia and all the way to Maine. So my question for you, would you please explain, or maybe you did before I got here, I don't know.
Yep.
Explain why I'm being interviewed and what your idea is to keep the people in Prospect better informed. I didn't let you talk. I started.
So the idea is behind this new monthly newspaper. I grew up here in town, always getting the Prospect paper. It was something we always looked forward to getting, and just a way for us to deliver some information on what is going on. It seemed to me like everybody's number one concern is their home. It's most people's single largest source of income when they retire. It's their largest sole investment they have. So everybody's curious about what's going on in the real estate market. So the paper is going to focus a lot on real estate trends, what's going on, things they could do to protect their investment. But we also want to make it more local. So this month, we're featuring an article with our longest tenured mayor and one of the newest businesses in town, Quincy Coffee. So on Wednesday, I think it's Wednesday, right, Brian? We're meeting with Quincy Coffee. We're going to talk about where he came up with the name, why he's doing what he's doing. But this way we can spotlight local businesses, entrepreneurs, business people, what they do in town, and why they choose town for their roots. Like
For the record, I'm not a coffee drinker. I'm drinking water and Coca-Cola.
Once in a while.
And I drank Coke in Germany. And I always carried, being a painter in the paint shop, I always had a 6-inch ruler because we're laying out the stars you see on the side of a plane. There were no decals in those days. You had to lay them out by scratch. Well, I put a nickel in the barracks, the Coke machine, stuck that in it to get the nickel out, thrown across the wall. Yeah. An inch and a half was burnt off the ruler. Oh, and I guess I'm lucky to be here.
No kidding.
Don't go stick a metal ruler in a soda machine.
Yeah, that's why.
Knocked on your...
Well, thank you, Mayor Bob, for joining us.
Thank you.
Spending some time with us.
Okay.